Welcome back to the channel. So tonight we're talking about the Kandi Burris Todd Tucker divorce settlement. This divorce has been one of the quickest celebrity divorces that we have seen in the history of divorces. And I believe that it teaches a big lesson, right? So the last time we seen a celebrity divorce where the woman was the huge income earner was more in the case of Mary J. Blige. And we know how that went, right? So there was alimony, there was distribution that took place. And it seemed as though Mary took a huge loss because she was more financially savvy than her husband. Now, in the case of Kandi Burris's divorce from Todd, Kandi was the breadwinner, was the one that earned the most income. And in this settlement, I think it shows us something about prenuptial agreements that we had not quite seen before, because we've always heard the joke it was a scheme that Todd set up. And you hear that playing over and over again. And Todd made lemons took lemons, I should say, and made lemonade out of that, right? So he would use that play, and he had the play in Atlanta, Don't Bring Your Man to Atlanta. And so this prenuptial agreement was at the center of the divorce. And many people were saying that the prenuptial agreement wouldn't be able to stand. Others were saying that the prenuptial agreement was ironclad. Now, the divorce is being finalized, and now you can see like the tension is kind of brought down. They said Todd has been online kind of conversing and making jokes and responding to some comments on Kandi's post. So in this settlement, that prenuptial agreement seemed to have stood up pretty well, right? So what he came in with is what he left with. They showed an image of a condo that he had, I believe, in the New Jersey area. He was able to retain that. They kept ownership of their properties separately, as well as there is no alimony payment, which I was very much surprised at. So it again shows that the prenuptial agreement stood up pretty well. So neither party is required to pay alimony or child support. So I believe when we first heard the reports, I heard that there was going to be a payment in terms of child support from around 23,000 a month. When they showed the official court documents, it says no alimony, no child support. The medical expenses, for the most part, are being split. Kandi is required to pay for private school for the kids, which is fair, right? She's the large earner. And then there is a final payout that would be made to Todd. I believe they said it was like $517,000. Like, wow. To some people, that number would be large, but for someone of Kandi's caliber and status, that's not probably large at all. So from that total payout, they then had a deduction of what Todd still owes in the old lady gang business of 91,000. Deducting that out, Todd walks away with a little bit over $400,000, and they have a payout schedule of 250,000 being paid out at one point, and then the remaining funds 178,000. So just looking at the numbers, right? This divorce has been highly watched. I believe that some women are going to learn from this divorce, right? I believe that people are going to take seriously prenuptial agreements, because sometimes when you enter into that marriage, you're not aware what is going to transpire. When they entered into the marriage, neither had children, right? Some businesses were established after the fact. And so it seems like a pretty fair deal. It seems like They said it was a scheme that Todd set up, but it seems like it was pretty fair. I don't see anything scandalous going on. Some of the documents are still kind of under wraps, so we have some information, but not the full truth, not the full. It didn't show the distribution fully of the businesses. But let's take a listen to some clips here from TikTok, and then we can come back and talk about it.
Divorces are shaking, and I'm actually happy this one is finalized. So, Candy Burris and Todd Tucker's divorce decrees have been revealed, saying they both earn 22K a month, and they both had to pay no child support for Blaze and Ace. There's a lot to this story. We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. So it's all come out, Candy's divorce information. And I just want to say I'm really, really proud of Candy. Ladies, let this be a lesson to you. Do not be Mary J. Blige. Do not be Wendy Williams. Do not be was it either Sherry Shepherd or Star Jones. One of them had the baby in the incubator, like the eggs, and she had to pay child support on like a baby that wasn't made. Something like that. Have your paperwork together when you marry these men. I don't care if they're up in their careers. I don't care if they're them dudes. If they aren't making millions and millions and millions more than you, then you need to get that nup and you need to get it pre-marriage. And I'm serious about that. Get that prenup. My dad has told me from day one. My dad's like, I'm not taking nobody's blessing until I hand them a pen for you and get a prenup because I already know.
How about that?
Candy's listen to her mom.
Let me pause this really quickly. This is about 3 minutes long, but so someone commented in the comment section. So how is he an opportunist if he didn't get anything out the marriage? No real question. I'm confused. Always date someone on the same level as you. What else did they say? She had a solid prenup is why he didn't get anything, but he tried. So this is a huge argument, right? Because a lot of people realize the income level where Candy was on, being a celebrity, being in the limelight for some time, getting into fame or celebrity at a young age, right? And but the thing is, in looking at the court document, it stated here, which is my first time seeing this, that the mother's gross monthly income is around 22,000. And then it's showing his at the same. So I, I I'm kind of curious as to, so are the income information, is it accurate? Because with everything that Candy does, right, from doing Broadway shows, plays, traveling, having the businesses, how are their incomes the same? I'm just curious because I mean, obviously, we don't know all the businesses and all the things that Todd does. He was on when Candy was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. He was on the production, um, in the production situation in terms of being responsible on that end, right? For being a producer or working on that end of the show. But I'm just really taken back by that. Like, it's saying that they both earn the same amount. So maybe all the while when people were accusing Todd of wanting Candy for her money, they may have been incorrect. Like I said, he didn't walk away with much, right? If you play your cards correctly, if you walk away from a marriage with over $400,000, um, you can do different things with that. If you have a financial advisor, you can make some investments. He still has his property that he owns. So, it'll be a matter of, how do you want to live from this point? Is he going to go buy a brand new house? I think on the agreement it says he has about 60 days before he has to move out of the guest house. So there's some things that are getting ready to transpire, but it's just so sad based on even the whole dissolution of marriage, right? It seemed to us from the outside looking in that it was a pretty cool marriage, over 10 years, over a decade of being married at the minimum. And they seem to had an open relationship. You would see Todd and Kandi traveling together, and they would mention that they're traveling with their girlfriend. Like open marriage like that, like it's just, it shows you like it's not what you assume. Everything that glitters is not gold. Relationships are much harder than what people think they are. It takes work, it takes two people, it takes trust, it takes commitment. You have to be careful of the seeds that you sow. I wish more people would take into consideration counseling and just the degree of that.
Even though her mom is a little bit brash, her mom saw something and she saw an opportunist. And I hope that this leads Kandi to going back to dating stars again. Now, for those who just watched Kandi on Housewives and didn't know her tea when she was making her good music, she used to go with Gerald Levert for 2 years. And I do believe she went with one of the members, was it Brian, of Jagged Edge at one point too. Y'all let me know if it was the other twin, but I think she went with Brian. When she dated celebrities, we didn't have these type of problems. Okay? When she dated that one man, that hood man that passed away, that had all them kids, after that she got with Todd. And I think she was like, I had a good regular man. We was engaged. Let me find another good regular man. No, Kandi. You need, just like Tiny, I'm not saying you need a TI, but you kind of do. You need somebody big in the industry like you that ain't never gonna try you about no funds, okay? T.I. know he can't try Tiny about no funds. He know he got to pay all the bills and not play with that lady because she will go buy a mansion. Even though I'm sure whatever they live, T.I.'s got it covered. Do you see what I'm saying? Go back to stars, Kandi. Run back. I mean, I found this, y'all. She was so locked in with Gerald Levert that she still was around his son when the son graduated. This is Gerald Levert's son. She called him one of her sons. So, Kandi, I really, really think you've got to go find somebody that's just as high up, that's not talking crazy like Todd was. Because one thing about Todd that I did not like, he was talking crazy to her this entire relationship. Talking about you're not a Rihanna, none of that. Making little jabs, coming home super duper late to the next day. He was playing in her face because he was insecure because he remembers just being a PA when she's talent and having to get this lady's orange juice when he was working down to the Bravo.
But see, one thing I want to add or mention here, I think that social media actually doesn't know the difference, especially in this day and age with skits and with actors and television, right? The things that happen on television, the things that happen on the internet, it's hard to distinguish reality from fiction. And so Kandi and Todd did start their journey on YouTube and they were very successful in that, right? Kandi has her talks and her podcast, and her and Todd started to do their own podcast, their own talks, right? And that was helping him, I'm pretty sure, financially as well, too. And with that, yes, Todd was saying some pretty crazy things on that podcast. But how do we know that that wasn't a setup? Because a lot of these celebrities understand what it takes to go viral. And so they seek virality and they know what it is that they need to say in order to go viral. I want to play a clip after we go through this Kandi phase of Magic Johnson's son, right? And that went viral recently where he sat on that podcast and he said that he only dates straight men. And that sent the internet into a spiral because guess what? What? Like, what are you saying? Do you understand that straight men do not like men? Like they're not bisexual. I think people have gotten to a space where they're confused. A straight man only likes women, right? No matter how you would try to confuse it, whether you think you're a transgender, straight men don't like men. So the men that he's talking about that he dates is going to be a bisexual man or a down low man. There's no in between. But I'm pretty sure he knew that that was going to go viral, right? He just had the internet talking and talking, and there was so many people responding to that video, and he has no clue. He has no clue. So let's go.
Bravo. As a producer, she brought him up to her level. Now we know his name. And he had, accolades in his field, but it wasn't no Kandi Burruss Grammy out there holding for the bye / no scrubs. Okay. So let's all start dating within our class range. It'll save us a lot of time, a lot of heartache, a lot less insecurity. I think we should just do that. You guys tell me what you think.
Kandi and Todd's divorce is officially over. Nobody gave up their rights to be a parent. Nobody's paying child support. Let's talk about what actually did happen in this divorce. Now they're splitting their.
I like it. I like it because initially, again, as the reports came out, they were saying that Todd was getting $2 million and he was going to be getting $25,000 in alimony, and they were just running off these numbers. And now with the real numbers coming out, it's showing Todd came off pretty well. He did get a payout of, or he is going to be entitled to a payout of over $400,000, but there's no alimony, right? No one party will be paying the other alimony. There's no child support. It just seems like a fair distribution. What they came in with, they're exiting with. Their salaries were detailed in the settlement. So this is one of the quickest divorces that we have seen, right? And I think it was as quick as it has been because of the prenuptial agreement. It says she won, but I really believe both of them won, right? Nobody wins when the family feuds. So if we're thinking about winning in terms of financial, then they both have won because Kandi hasn't really suffered a huge loss, right? Based on what she's worth, the amount of money she has, and what she'll continue to earn. And then for Todd, it gives him the ability to move on, right? Move out of the guest house within the time frame and period, but still have a distribution that will allow for him to co-parent fairly, right? Because you don't want the kids to get used to being in the mansion with mommy, and then when you go to dad's house, right, you're just in like a little box tent. It has to be fair, and I'm pretty sure that is what matters to the parents, especially in that co-parenting situation, right? Making sure that the kids don't go through this period of adjustment that's going to be major anyways, right? A divorce is taking place, separation has occurred, but the judges ruled fairly. They also have joint custody, right? They pay jointly for the medical expenses, as well as, Kandi has the weight of paying for private school. So it seems like a pretty fair settlement.
Custody of the kids is going to be joint custody. Most of the things are going to be down the middle. She decides certain things, he decides certain things. Kandi is going to be over their health care, but any kind of uninsured medical issues, they're going to split it down the middle. When it comes to school, if one of the parents decides to put them in private school, that parent is going to pay. But when it comes to like uniform, school supplies, they'll split that down the middle. If one of the parents decides to put them in like a high costing extracurricular activity, that parent who signs them up is going to be the one to pay. Basically, just a split down the middle when it comes to their children. Now, when it comes to the finances, Kandi is keeping around 5 cars. Todd is keeping about 6. And Kandi is going to pay Todd $426,000. She's going to have to make one payment of $250,000 within 5 days, and then she'll have 90 days to pay the rest. This is called an equalization payment, basically trying to keep everything split down the middle as much as possible. No person is asking for anything from the other, no alimony payment, no child support. And when it comes to stuff like their SBA loans, they're going to split that down the middle and get that paid off. They're both going to be responsible for their own car insurance and things like that. And really, this is just kind of an even divorce. They really just said, you know what, let's do what's best for the kids and let's keep our feelings out of it. Now, there is some stuff that's in this divorce that they did get sealed. So some information we're not going to be able to see when it comes to the businesses, but basically split down the middle and they're able to co-parent and live happily ever after. Y'all, once I have more information regarding any of this, I will let you all know. Kandi and
Okay, so everybody wants to know, what did Todd Tucker get? Okay, it's been all in the headlines, People Magazine, TMZ, and let me give you the breakdown because Kandi Burruss has agreed to pay her ex-husband Todd Tucker $426,388 in their divorce settlement. Todd will also walk away with 5 cars, including a new Porsche, a G-Wagon, and a Range Rover. Now, this is the biggest thing that people were talking about. Let's look at custody. So, joint with divided decision authority, Kandi and Todd will share joint and legal and joint physical custody of their 2 minor children. Kandi will have the final decision-making authority over non-emergency medical care and education, and Todd will have final decision-making authority over extracurricular activities and religion. Religion. These babies are Christian. A judge has finalized the couple's divorce after approving a fully executed settlement. This also includes strict rules regarding the children and media. So because both parents are public figures, the parenting plan places strict limits on the children's media exposure. So neither parent may film, post, or involve the children in commercial or media projects without the other parent's written consent. Any income generated from the children's appearances must be placed into accounts designated solely for the children's benefit. Now, although both parties reportedly earn $22,083 per month, that's another story. The court approved a deviation from standard guidelines. Basically, they both submitted their the paperwork, and Todd says he makes about $22,000. Kandi says she makes about $22,000. No child support will be paid by either party. Now, alimony. Both Kandi and Todd permanently waived any right to spousal support. The vehicles awarded, we already went through that. Oh, to Kandi, a Bentley SUV, Cadillac Escalade, Porsche, Ford, and then we already went through what the vehicles Todd was awarded. Now, the financial settlement, an equalization payment totaling $517,500 was ordered. After offsets, $426,388.77 will be paid to Kandi. Okay. I like that. And payment terms, $250,000 up front with the remaining balance due within 90 days. When they say marriage is a business, my gosh.
That's what
I mean, you tell me, what do you think? Again, they had Old Lady Gang. They also had a few other business ventures. So that debt, I know that has to be paid as well. But Kandi is going to always come out on top. But you tell me, what do you think? I don't think this was as severe as people were making it.
Not
Now,
at
she
all.
did have to pay him because when he married Kandi, his lifestyle went up. Everything for him went up, right? If she was to just move in with him and drop everything at that time, 10 years ago, her lifestyle would have went down. So it does matter who you marry. I definitely think, I think she'll get married again. And it's probably going to be with somebody on her level. All right. Talk to you later.
You paid Todd $2 million and are
That's
paying
not
him.
true.
It's not true.
No.
So we're debunking it. It's coming straight from Kandi because, you know, they said a source said. So from Kandi, Kandi says
That is not true.
it's a.
I don't want to give too much because you know I'm doing my one woman show.
I know.
Yeah.
I really need to learn from when I'm a wealthy girl myself how the rich people do the things they do as far as finances. And I don't want to say hiding it, but hiding it from the court because the way Kandi just finessed TF out of Todd, even though Todd tried to finesse her first, it needs to be studied. Let's get into some things. So as far as the kids, they got joint physical custody of the kids. Now, this is the part that kind of I was like, Kandi, how you did that, girl? Somebody in the comments says, well, all her money goes through like a business and the business pays hers. That's how she was able to do this. But according to the court documents, her and Todd each make about $22,000 a month. Now, I find it hard to believe for Todd because what the hell do Todd do? No shade. But I find that hard to believe for Kandi as well because I know Kandi making bank a month.
Right.
But she ain't got to pay no child support. Neither one of them are paying child support. So she got off scot-free with that. Both parties waived alimony.
That's very questionable, though. I wonder if it will come out later on that the amounts that was stated as their income was not accurate because, again, no one really knows what Todd does in terms of the businesses. We know he had a career prior, but how are they both listed as making $22,000 a month? Like something doesn't add up. I know. And it's almost like, and it's understandable, especially when you're a content creator, right? So, content creators, if you get paid on the platform that you are um, advertising on, so whether you're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everybody's monetization is different. So, from month to month, that will definitely vary, right? And as you know, with Candy's career, it's not like working a 9 to 5 where you know what the income is going to be like weekly, monthly, and how that's generated. So she gets paid off of endorsements, monetization, content creation, and things of that nature. So it will fluctuate. So when I think of them adding up her income, that's going to vary. But I definitely think Candy makes more than 22,000, and I'm curious as to really what Todd makes because I know he did the plays, so he does plays, productions, and things of that nature. I'm pretty sure now he's making money even off of content, right? So he can use his platforms to monetize that as well. But yeah, that those numbers don't seem accurate.
Only permanently, so no child support and no alimony. Shout out to okay. Apparently there were 10 cars between the two of them, and they each got 5. 10 cars? Damn. Like, y'all can only drive 1 car a day? What y'all need 10 cars for? But I live. Go off. Trying to be like that. Candy did have to pay Todd a lot of lump sum because it's like she has to pay 250K up front and then like the rest in 90 days. But she ended up having to pay him $426,000 for I don't know what it is. If you go on X Twitter, they have the court documents there. I ain't no damn lawyer nor a paralegal, so I don't know what the hell I was reading. I just took clip notes from the original poster. But yeah, so it seems like she got all this done for less than $500,000. So I guess shout out to her because we know Candy. I think Candy is worth like 40 plus $1 million, which is believable because she's a puppet master on them jobs. So yeah. Oh yeah, neither party can post, film the kid when it comes to the kids, social media, film, all that. They can't have none of that done unless they have written consent from the other party. And then if that happens and the children get paid, it has to go like in an account for the kids or something like that. So that's also a good thing. I feel like honestly, in the grand scheme of things, with how much Candy is worth, Candy, the prenup did the prenup. Like she got away good, in my opinion. And then Candy gets final say on like medical and like education, and then Todd gets a final say on like extracurricular activities and religion, which Todd didn't strike me as no spiritual person. But okay, but no, what y'all think about all this? Like I said, if you want like the full breakdown, the full details on everything, the court documents are on X Twitter because Candy wanted to close, but Todd didn't, and Todd won that little battle. But no, shout out to Candy.
He has obtained some documents from the divorce settlement from Kandi and Todd, and he does have to leave the guest house within 15 days of the parenting deal being signed. And Todd, I guess, had to pay off $38,000 for Hawks tickets, a balance. I'll show you what else was in the negotiation. In the settlement, Todd will get a $426,000 lump sum with 6 cars, including Mercedes G-Wagon, Porsche, Range Rover, Bronco, Lincoln, Ford Transit van with no child support, no spousal support. Kandi will keep 5 cars of Bentley, Escalade, Ford, Porsche, and a Camaro. She gets to keep her Atlanta Hawks season tickets that Todd had to pay for and primary control of the kids' passports. The couple will share joint legal and physical custody of Ace 2016 and Blaze 2019. They will sell their food truck, split credit card reward points, and keep real estate details private. So that's what we know so far about the Todd and Kandi divorce. And yeah, sounds like it's going okay.
We have some details on Kandi and Todd's divorce settlement, an exclusive TMZ got, of course. Okay, so per the deal, according to TMZ, neither party will be paid child support or spousal support. Kandi and Todd agreed to share joint legal and physical custody of their kids. Kandi is going to keep the passports for the kids, but Todd can request them ahead of any international travel. Now, Kandi will keep her 2022 Bentley SUV, her Cadillac Escalade, her Ford F-250, her Porsche Cayenne SUV, and a 1963 Chevrolet Camaro. Todd will get the 2020 Mercedes G-Wagon, a 2020 Porsche 911, 2023 Range Rover, a 1973 Ford Bronco, a 1963 Lincoln, and a Ford Transit van. This article goes on to say the exes agreed to sell a food truck they own, and the real estate divvied up between the two were redacted in the paperwork, but Todd did agree to vacate Kandi's guest house. Finally, I know this is cut off, but Kandi agreed to pay Todd a lump sum of $426,000. The two of them are going to split their credit card reward points. The deal says Todd paid Kandi $38,000 to satisfy the balance owed on their 2025-2026 Atlanta Hawks season tickets, and Kandi will keep those tickets. We also saw Todd sign that prenup on Real Housewives of Atlanta. It seems that really protected Kandi here.
So this one was interesting to me because Kandi Burruss, clearly we know that she wanted to expedite this divorce and get it done. She was like, okay, like business, where's the contract? Where do you sign? Where is the dotted line? As long as the contract makes sense, then we're good. And she was kind of just trying to expedite this, probably to make sure that this fool was not going to take any of her money. Now, she is reportedly worth over $40 million, right? But looks like that prenup came in pretty good handy because her payout to him was $426,000. No child support, no alimony, nothing. She was like, you're not getting shit. And on top of that, while she gave him the restaurants that are under so much scrutiny right now, like who cares? And she doesn't have, he doesn't have her financial backing for them anymore. So good luck with that. Oh, dude, your life is about to be whoever you cheated with or whatever you did wrong, allegedly, your shit's about to be turned upside down. Good luck. She gave you a lifestyle and you took it and you dumped it in the trash. And she's about to show you exactly who the fuck she is. No scrubs.
You could say a lot about Mama Joyce, but one thing you can't say is she raised a fool. Let's talk about Kandi Burruss, her recent divorce settlement, and how she is the queen of reinvention. And my OG followers already know if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. If you're not following the Black Death Society, please make sure to do so. This is a space in which pop culture and money meet. Kandi Burruss seems to come out on top of every situation. And today news broke that she has reached a settlement with her soon-to-be ex-husband, Todd Tucker. I know y'all want to know the details of this agreement because y'all nosy and you know your girl gonna hook you up with that. And the first thing that was reached in the agreement was that neither party will pay the other party either child support or spousal support. In addition, Kandi and Todd will share joint custody of the two kids that they have together. However, Kandi gets a chance to keep both kids' passport, and Todd has to ask her for it if he is making plans to leave the country with the kids. And the last thing is Kandi will pay out a lump sum payment to Todd in the amount of $426,000. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that is a steal because if you do not know, Kandi is worth reportedly $30 million, and $426,000 just seems to me to be like two Birkin bags. Good thing she did not budge on getting him to sign that prenuptial agreement. Once again, she has a head for business. Now, Kandi, who I stated before, is reportedly worth $30 million, okay? Is the queen of a business venture. And the thing that I really like about Kandi is that she believes in reinventing herself. We first knew her from the girl group Escape, and she has proven herself to be so much more. From a singer, writer, producer, actress, reality TV show, and she's a serial entrepreneur. And when I was looking back on some of the businesses that she owned, I was blown away. From Bedroom Kandi, we all remember that, to Kandi Coated Entertainment, to Kandi Cosmetics, to the Old Lady Gang, to Blaze Steakhouse, to Tag's Boutique, and Kandi Coaching Academy. Now, Kandi, who is 49 years old and looks great, by the way, is an inspiration to me. She is the brand, and she knows how to build a profitable business, and she knows how to stay relevant in the very volatile industry, which is show business. You can
girls want to be upset that Todd got a little $500,000 payout and whatever little other items he got. But at the same time, you got to expect that considering they was involved for 11 years. They got 2 goddamn beautiful kids. Look at what she signed up for straight off the top, though. She knew that man was below her financial bracket. That's what she signed up for. Like, you got to be real honest and transparent with it. On top of Mama Joyce, even though her mama needed to mind her own business, get her own man and go live her life out with whoever it is. Yeah, sometimes they need to just mind their goddamn business at the same goddamn time. But there's nothing wrong with this. Like, as bad as it looked like it want to be something to talk about, it really isn't. Because if the shoe was on the other foot and Todd was the breadwinner and Kandi was in this dynamic, we don't see in the media goddamn time women that ain't put in the work of their goddamn man and then come in and try and clean that goddamn man out for everything that he worked hard for. We see it a many goddamn times, so we just gotta call a spade in that dynamic, and no different than this goddamn situation. But I'm glad they made an amicable split, and she stood on her standards and boundaries for herself as a woman. Now that's top tier goddamn respect. She walked away from the dynamic due to infidelity or whatever the case may have been, and finding out that if that was the case, then I respect her. And a lot more women need to learn how to leave. But to each his own, huh?
House. Well, let's keep going. I got some tea on that too. Let's keep going.
On the property and give up any claim to the home entirely. Then they said, but Todd didn't walk away empty-handed, which is beautiful. Now, in the details, they're saying that Todd received, y'all listen to this, full control of their joint restaurant businesses. Kandi will pay him a one-time settlement of only $2 million. They're saying Kandi will cover all major expenses for their children. Todd will receive a monthly child support between $10,000 and $25,000 a month. The child support range depends on, certain conditions tied to custody and expenses. Todd.
First of all, the first thing we have that this is all cap is Kandi and Todd didn't even have kids back then. So why would they agree to that? Again, they're saying they agreed to what was in the prenup. They didn't have restaurants. They didn't have kids. They didn't have anything. All they had was what Kandi had. The prenup, which we saw Todd crying over on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, basically said the only thing you get is whatever we make together, and you only get half. So why would Kandi give him all of the restaurants? So listen, hold on.
Expected to be primary custodial parent, which explains why the support payments are included in the deal. Now, while Todd technically gets the restaurants, insiders say that those businesses haven't exactly been printing money on this for a long time. Now, some people close to the situation believe that Kandi may have quietly gotten the better end of that part of the deal. In other words, Todd got the restaurants, but he also got the responsibilities of making them profitable. They say, good luck with it.
Let me tell y'all something. My sources are saying ain't no way in hell Kandi gave up primary custody of those children to Todd. That's all cap. Let's not forget that as much as everybody said that Kandi was always traveling and working, so was Todd. Just because Kandi was on Broadway and Todd Tucker had Don't Leave Your Man in Atlanta. Truly, I guess it was our self-proclaimed Don't Bring Your Man to Atlanta. Was that an autobiography? Do we need to watch it? I didn't watch it, but whatever. The whole point of the matter is they are all saying that it is cap, okay? Now, I talked to a couple of sources and they said the same thing. Todd's ego got bruised. Think about it. According to people in the street, Todd got caught cheating. Kandi was very generous. They built a lot of businesses together. She was trying to build an empire for whatever reason. And it seems like, they were very adventurous together. So there could have been a friend or two bought into the mix just to keep things going, right? They never made any secret that they were very, very adventurous together. So what could have possibly changed? People said,
Kandi won. Mama Joyce is right. No, they won't. And no, she did not win. Look, in this divorce settlement with Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker, she got to pay him $2 million. Yeah, she won right there. Yeah, because $2 million ain't never going to hurt Kandi Burruss, ever. Right? But this is why I feel like she lost. Allegedly, she got to pay 10 to 15K in child support and pay all their major expenses for them kids. They got 2 kids. They probably go to them expensive old schools and stuff. But look, 10 to 15K in child support and all expenses leads me to believe that Todd has custody of them kids. And to me, that's not a win. Y'all talking about, she lapped in with the kid. No, she didn't. The judge said them kids going with their daddy because she ain't never home. But see, if the tables were turned and it was somebody else, right? Y'all be saying, she ain't right, she ain't no. Because it's Kandi Burruss, y'all saying, she dropped them out, she left him with them kids. Any mom that got the resources don't want that. We ain't finna get no pass to Kandi Burruss because she, no, ain't happening. And I like Kandi Burruss. This ain't about that. But look, if Todd got custody of his kid, it go back to what that little girl was saying all along. You don't need to have no more kids because you ain't never home. Yeah, so stop acting like Kandi Burruss won. Hey, don't nobody win in a situation like this, no way. But she damn sure ain't win because you got that big old beautiful house that you wanted, which he shouldn't ever think about taking. But what's the whole point of life if you got a big beautiful home and your kids ain't there? Ain't nobody win. But she damn sure ain't win either.
oh my God, as more and more time come out, we see that Todd really played himself in that divorce. Now, I believe we were one of the first people to report that Todd got nothing from the divorce. Forget the $2 million settlement. Forget the full physical custody. Todd got what was in the prenup. Now, they did apparently come to some type of terms about custody, but Kandi Burruss, the only thing that Kandi loved more than her money, emphasis on only thing, is her children. You think she was giving that man who played in her face, according to the Atlanta streets, full custody? But baby, it's not over because the Jasmine brand is also reporting some interesting news. And Todd, the streets are saying, is trying to low-key block whatever Kandi got going on by trying to make it seem like they still messing around on the low. It is getting weird. It's giving groupie. It's like, Todd, what is you doing? Also, and this is the funniest thing, we are going to talk about this. Apparently, Todd, even though in the beginning he was fighting to keep the court case open, because people, and by people I mean me, I thought maybe Todd was trying to put pressure because Kandi really cares about her privacy, right? So I thought Todd was trying to put pressure, like, yo, I'm gonna blow it up, I'm gonna expose you. I don't know what for, because whatever Kandi did, you was right there with her, right? But now Todd is he filed documents to keep the divorce settlement closed. It closed on March 11th, but guess what? The judge denied it. And again, people are saying that when we actually see the papers, Todd's going to end up looking crazy. Let me get this straight. Hold on. Let me get this straight. You blew your family up away from a mogul that kept you in luxury. Every cockamamie scheme you had, every restaurant you had, listen, all for you to make a real life version of Don't Take Your Man to Atlanta. First of all, let me read this for y'all. Then I'm going to tell you how Todd is acting. I don't know. It's creepy to me because you blew your family up. You did this, you did that, all because you wanted to step out of whatever rules y'all had. We seen from Kandi and Todd, they are down with the unconventional stuff, but that wasn't enough for you. And now you sit here trying to what? Now, many people are saying that Todd didn't expect Kandi to leave. I don't know how you get caught cheating and don't expect the woman to leave. Or maybe he thought if he would get her back, but was that your plan? I want to know. Try to get full physical custody. Try to get the prenup blown up. And
I'm going to pause that 1 second. So I see a comment here. It says, this narrative from Lorraine. Thank you for commenting, actually. I appreciate y'all. So it says, this narrative, like money should make you appreciate someone more, is so outdated, right? And then let's get your other comment here. Anyone committing that much to their job is obviously away a lot. True. And the last comment here, it says, if kids are also involved, where do they see each other? Right? And then let's get here. A mansion is more fun with your wife. True, true, true. So I appreciate your comment, Lorraine. Let me just say this, right? So they finally wrapped up the settlement. This has to be one of the quickest divorces that we've seen, right? And so I believe the whole world is looking at what is occurring here, because the last time we saw a wealthy woman divorce a man that was of what they would consider a lesser caliber, that was Mary J. Blige. And we saw how her husband was able to walk away from that marriage, right, with money, with funds that were what people would consider not earned, right? So here in with the situation with Kandi, everyone knew she had that prenuptial agreement. And you know how they kept making the jokes. It was a scheme that Todd set up, right? Everyone wanted to see what is going to come of this prenuptial agreement. Is it going to be ironclad or not? Ultimately, there were rumors about what actually was transpiring behind the scenes. And now we have seen that Todd walked away with a little bit over $400,000, right? And I would say that's fair, because when it came to alimony, initially they were saying that Todd was going to be required to pay about $20,000. Kandi was going to be required to pay Todd about $20,000. But ultimately, in the court documents, neither party has to pay any alimony, right? Neither party has to pay child support. Todd has the distribution of the cars. So they had 10 cars in total. So Kandi got 5. Todd was able to get 5 cars. In terms of the Atlanta, what is it? The Seahawks. I'm not pretty sure what the sporting event, but they're splitting the tickets for that arrangement. They're splitting the points for American Express, and Kandi has to pay Todd out. So he's going to be in the guest house for another 60 days, right? And he still is going to maintain his property. Kandi is going to keep the house. They're going to be splitting the expenses for the children. And so it seems like a pretty fair split. Ultimately, he was granted over $500,000, so $517,000 in the settlement, of which they deducted around 90 something thousand dollars for the old lady gang business. So ultimately, Todd will walk away with a little bit over 400,000. They're saying the number is around 426,000. And so what that means is Kandi is going to have to pay out 250,000, and then in another 60 days or 90 days she has to pay out the other 178,000. But it seems like a pretty fair split, right? He went up in the marriage and he was able to profit. But the big question is, what was really the issue? Why was the marriage dissolved? Because if we look at it, we saw for the most part, they seemed like they had a pretty open marriage. And it says, and equally, Kandi probably took on a lot financially. Pretty sure she did, right? But that was the risk that she took, knowing what she wanted in her life, right? They both came into the marriage with no children. And well, no, I'm sorry. They both came into the marriage probably wanting more children. So Todd had his daughter from a previous relationship. Kandi had her daughter from a previous relationship. So Kandi, I believe, wanted more kids. She wanted to expand her family. And so she did take on a lot financially. But that's normally what happens when the wife earns more than the man, right? Do we think that's fair? Do we think it's unfair? It's going to be a matter of perspective, because at the end of the day, you know, the requirements are different when you are a woman that out earns your partner, right? And you determine what works in your relationship. We know Kandi's mother warned her time and time again. I think that's the reason why she actually had the prenuptial agreement. If she didn't have that type of agreement, the split would and could have been worse, because you know Kandi earns a substantial income, and to have this man walk away from a woman who has millions with a little bit over 400,000, not a bad split at all. Not a bad split. What he's going to need is a financial advisor to continue to work whatever job that he's currently working. He's going to probably be working with a lot more sponsors. You're going to see a lot more plays and different things taking place in Atlanta. And if he plays his cards right, he can use that money that he got from the split in order to build back financially. But they had a pretty open marriage. I'm just pretty shocked because no one has really spoken on what was the cause of the dissolving of the marriage. If you're open, you would see Kandi and Todd traveling overseas, foreign, and they would travel with their girlfriend, right? And they were on live with what was allegedly their girlfriend. So for a marriage to be so open in that regards, I'm just pretty shocked at the split, especially after the length of time that they were married, almost over a decade. It's like, you know, marriages aren't lasting, and the people that are living vicariously through people, you know, they are probably truly disappointed. They're truly disappointed. 2026 is a year of revelation. We're seeing a lot. So let's go back to these videos. Comment below. I'm going to read your comments. I'll respond to it.
Todd Tucker walked out of a Fulton County courtroom with a settlement, and the woman who called him a gold digger for 12 years could not hide her smile when the cameras found her. This video covers every major headline from the last 72 hours on the Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker divorce, the biggest Real Housewives of Atlanta marriage breakup since Nene and Greg, covering the court settlement, the restaurant judgment, the paperwork deadline 3 days out, and what Kandi just said publicly about regretting the businesses she built with Todd. But more than that, this is the video that lays out in order why Todd Tucker's side of this story has never been told the way it deserves to be told. The story of a Tony-nominated Broadway producer who built a 15-year entertainment career before he ever met Kandi, and why Mama Joyce does not get a victory lap for outlasting a marriage she spent over a decade actively working against.
How long had you and Todd been considering a separation before you decided it was the right decision?
Oh no, it happened like in July. In July was when I was like, oh yeah, nah, I can't do this no more.
Was there a specific moment or thing
Yeah,
that
it was
happened?
a specific situation that happened. I'm not talking about on Watch What Happened.
Okay, all right. Okay. What is your current relationship or nature of communication?
I mean, so, you know, we've been going back and forth through the whole divorce thing. So, of course, sometimes our conversations can get a little intense. But for the most part, you know, even if we argue, we still, you know, try to be nice to each other.
You're co-parenting.
Yeah, we're
yes.
co-parenting. And I feel like once we're done with this, I really feel that we'll be able to be great co-parents. Because
Good.
our ultimate goal is
That's
to
the
make
most
sure
important.
that all of our kids are happy and that they don't feel the blunt of our drama.
Has Mama Joyce bitten her tongue, or has she said, I told you so?
She actually has been pretty calm.
Okay.
She's been trying to not to say too much, not to get into it. Sometimes the internet, conversations with people, their opinions about our divorce can get in her head. And she's like, well, they said that you need, Ma, I don't care, because they don't really know what's happening between he and I. We're doing our best to get along and get through this moment because we honestly don't have a lot that we're disagreeing about.
Good. How long?
Everybody say they settled the divorce, but nobody tell them what they settled for. We need to know what Todd got. We need to know if Todd got a check.
Yeah, so Todd and Kandi divorce settlement has been made public, or I don't know, some bloggers got their hands on it, but y'all, Todd hit gold.
And this is misinformation. This is misinformation here. So this is what came out initially. Initially, they did say that Todd got $2 million up front, but that's false. That's not accurate. They also said he got $25,000 a month in child support. Again, that's not accurate. There was no child support between the two. They have joint custody between their two kids. So this information is inaccurate.
Having all those different businesses has been a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And I guess because, now I'm getting divorced, it's kind of like doing things together and we're not on the same page, I just want to go back to my creative space.
Y'all, what's up? Good night, motherfuckers. Now I'm getting ready to go to bed, but before I do, let's talk about Kandi and Todd. As you can see from the headline, Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker settled divorce 4 months after announcing split. So y'all know in November, Kandi went public after deep thought and a lot of prayer. She says she made the decision.
And see what she said on Watch What Happens Live is like something happened, but again, she's not saying it. She's not saying exactly what happened, but she was like, no, I'm done. So, will we find out later? Probably, maybe one of the bloggers will pick it up, but no one is really saying what happened. Everybody thinks that it had to be like infidelity on Todd's part. So
move forward with a divorce. She said it was difficult and emotional, but her focus is to remain on protecting her peace, being the best mother she can be, and co-parenting with love and respect. Now, there was a couple of rumors going around as to the settlement, and one of those rumors was a $2 million deal and Todd getting between $10,000 and $25,000 per month in child support. So right here it just says social media and gossip blogs have been.
Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Let's see here. See if we find any new articles.
He has obtained some documents from the divorce settlement from Kandi and Todd, and he does have to leave the guest house within 15 days of the parenting deal being signed. And Todd, I guess, had to pay off $38,000 for Hawks tickets, a balance. I'll show you what else was in the negotiation. In the settlement, Todd will get a $426,000 lump sum with 6 cars, including Mercedes G-Wagon, Porsche, Range Rover, Bronco, Lincoln, Ford Transit van with no child support, no spousal support. Kandi will keep 5 cars of Bentley, Escalade, Ford, Porsche, and a Camaro. She gets to keep her Atlanta Hawks season tickets that Todd had to pay for and primary control of the kids' passports. The couple will share joint legal and physical custody of Ace 2016 and Blaze 2019. They will sell their food truck, split credit card reward points, and keep real estate details private. So that's what we know so far about the Todd and Kandi divorce. And yeah, sounds like it's going okay.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Millie Chan. So we are finally here. We have made it. Yesterday, March the 24th, Todd and Kandi are officially divorced. The decree is in. Shout out to Michelle A.T. Alien Brown. I was on her live last night, and we're going to get into it. Let's go. So we get right to it. Like, what is Todd getting paid? Michelle said that what she saw is that Todd got a couple of lump sum payments. So let's listen to that.
That was interesting in this settlement agreement was that, remember when I told you that Kandi allegedly closed the OLG and that Todd was like, oh, I'm about to go hard on the OLG. And then a week later it was shut down. Well, apparently Kandi had to pay Todd $91,111.23 for an OLG lease that I guess he had paid up front or something. But so that credit was applied to the husband.
So this information came out before the actual document, so that was not accurate. In the final divorce settlement, Todd has to pay back for the Old Lady Gang restaurant. So out of the settlement that he was awarded for $517,000, almost over half a million, he is going to have to pay out 96,000, and so that drops the settlement for him to around 426,000. So that information was given yesterday, but the new documents are out today.
So Kandi had to pay him that.
So she also said that there was something like an equalization account, and the amount was $517,000 that Kandi has to pay him, and I think she has to pay him $250,000 of it soon. Todd got a little change.
And so you add all of that together, okay? There was a lot going on in this. So Kandi has to pay $250,000 up front within 5 days. Okay.
Wow.
Also, she has within 90 days to pay $176,000, $388.77 within 90 days. Now she cut a $250,000 check, honey. So I guess 250,000 is pretty good.
So then after all of that cut, all those cuts, then they get to talking about the vehicle.
250,000 is pretty good. 250,000 is great because normally what happens? Normally when a marriage is dissolved, men don't usually walk away like that. But see, nobody wins when the family feuds because when the world looks at it in terms of the finances, they're like, oh, Kandi won, or they're like, oh, Todd won. But really, nobody is winning here, right? Because this is the dissolving of a marriage. Like when you stand and you make your vows in front of God and you make that covenant, you're not standing up there to be divorced, but about 40 to 50% of marriages, so this isn't anything new that we're seeing, right? Whether it's an ordinary couple or a celebrity couple, it ends in divorce because I don't think that people take their vows as seriously as they should. The vows say for better or worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer. But then you have to take accountability for the things that you have allowed to enter your marriage. Because the destruction, for me, what I think personally, even though they're not saying the real reason or the true reason for the breakup, is going to be the seeds that were sown. When you are a gardener, you plant the seeds, you plant the watermelon, and you're waiting for that watermelon to sprout and develop, right? And grow, and you have to fertilize it, and you have to do things in order to make sure that it comes to be a healthy fruit. The seeds that they sown in their marriage, so many people would laugh at, their lives and different things that Todd and Kandi would have, but they sowed a seed of infidelity in their marriage. I don't care what anybody wants to say, whether you're somebody that believes in polygamy, you sowed that seed and you opened the door to lust, to temptation. And what it ultimately did is it took a toll after a decade, right? It took a toll, and you allowed someone in your marital bed and you both call that individual your girlfriends, and it was cute and you're laughing and it was great and I'm spicing up my marriage. And then all of a sudden, when you now find out that this man is continuing a relationship, again, we don't know, we haven't heard, right? You can only assume. But when you know now that he's doing those things, even when you're not around, so you're traveling and you're on Broadway and you're doing plays, and this man is still carrying on that relationship. Now, is it right? You said it was your girlfriend, it's your girlfriend's, right? But that has to ultimately be the reason, because you don't get up one day. Women, we have things that are in common. Men, they have things that are in common. You don't get up one day and just say, I just want to throw my whole marriage away. But when she was on Watch What Happens Live, Kandi did say that she was just like, no, I can't do this anymore. So something happened, something transpired, and with those celebrities, they try to keep it knit, they try to keep it close to the chest. They don't want too much information to get out, but at some point it will, because of the limelight, because of how much they are in that limelight, right? It will eventually come out. The truth will be discovered, but ultimately, in terms of winning, I think they both won, right? So, Kandi, it makes a substantial amount of income, of money, and with her being a millionaire or having that kind of status, that she didn't walk away having to pay millions, right? So this was a fair, equitable distribution. He had a payout. He's going to have about 60 days or so, if the clock didn't already start from the initial onset of the filing of the divorce. He's going to have that time period in which he has to get out of the guest house. He still has his condo in New Jersey, so he'll probably more likely than not be able to move there, or he might have a rental in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure, being that the kids are so young, he may want to stay in that area, right? They distributed the cars. So 10 cars, 5 goes to Kandi, 5 goes to Todd. No alimony, no child support. That's one of the best arrangements. I mean, how many people out here barely got money and they have to pay alimony and child support to their spouse? So this prenup was ironclad. It is the best thing. I mean, Kandi really has the world watching. I believe there's a lot of women that are of wealth, that are of means, that are of status, that may need to take a look at this, add it to your notes, right? A prenuptial agreement may be something that saves you a lot of time. This divorce was quick. What was it, about 4 months? Whew.
First of all, Kandi and Ty over there with a small car lot at the house. They got Sprinter vans, Bentleys, old cars, horse and buggies. They got all kind of stuff over there. So let's listen to how they break that up.
To keep the 2022 Bentley, the Cadillac Escalade, the Ford F-150, the Porsche Cayenne, and a 1963 Camaro. Okay. Todd, on the other hand, got to keep a Mercedes G-Wagon, a Porsche 911, a Range Rover, a Ford Bronco, a Lincoln, and a Sprinter van. I'm like, Todd, why y'all got all these cars?
And then when I was listening to the live and I was looking at the comments, people was like, that's common for like rich people in Atlanta to have all of those vehicles. They even had a food truck that they got to split somewhere down the line. Like, why would you, a Lincoln, Camaros? Why would you need all that? I mean, I ain't never had that kind of money, but I don't think I would buy all those cars. Would you?
I don't think it's a matter of a need. So I get where she's coming from, but if you have an understanding of Atlanta, the area, the region, it's Black Hollywood, right? So the Black individuals that are in Atlanta that are of wealth, status, means they have a good amount of property, right? You buying real estate, you're buying cars, you enjoy driving your different cars. I don't think it's outrageous for the amount of money that they make, right? That they have those vehicles. So it just is a matter of what you want. what you decide, right? In Atlanta, they're gonna ride around in the Mercedes, the Porsche, the Benz. They allow that there, right? It's Black Hollywood.
About cars like that. Let's keep going. So now we're going to get ready to talk about the real estate. Okay. So the properties will be divided between the two, but there was a lot that was redacted in these forms, right? Because there are things that they did not want us to see. Now, this is just the divorce that Kandi and Todd has talked about doing. This has nothing to do with what's in the prenup. We don't know what happened with that. This is just them giving the judge their information for co-parenting and child support and things like that. This has nothing to do with the prenup. Let's go.
A house, okay? And so they actually blanked it out and it said properties are awarded to Miss Tucker. Miss Tucker shall retain her sole and separate property, all right, title, and interest in the following real estate properties, free and clear of any claim by Mr. Tucker, except as otherwise expressly provided herein. They blacked it out. Now, Todd's the same way. Mr. Tucker shall retain his sole and separate property and interest in the following real estate. And so they blocked that out. And so as you can see, there's Kandi got that, and then Todd got two. Number one and number two. Okay, number one of them might be Jersey, and number two is probably the one in Atlanta. Vacating a property, respondent shall vacate the commercial property located at blah 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 within 10 business days of the execution of the settlement agreement. I'm assuming that that's the property that Todd was in doing viewings in the basement, the Peter Street location. It said respondent shall further vacate the guest house located at blah 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 within 15 days of the execution of the parenting plan. So, hold on.
Child, he got to get out of that other house. Now let's get into the alimony portion. What Kandi's making, what Todd is making. Is anybody paying anybody? Let's go.
Also, alimony. Now, both waived alimony permanently. So there's no spousal support, no monthly check, no safety net for either one of them.
Okay, now we're about to get into the child support. I found this to be extremely interesting. Kandi and Todd, well, Kandi's saying she and Todd make the same amount of money. No child support. Let's listen.
So apparently, according to Kandi and Todd, this is what they wanted to the public. Both Kandi and Todd make the same amount of money, okay? Both Kandi and Todd make the same amount of money. They say Kandi makes $22,083 a month and Todd makes $22,083 a month, okay? According to the settlement.
So, do you believe that Todd and Kandi make the same amount of money a month?
Definitely not.
Because I feel like because we don't know what's in the prenup and we're just listening to the divorce settlement from the divorce decree, this is what they want us to know. Because there's a lot of stuff redacted on their paperwork, right? A lot of stuff. So let's listen to how they split up the custody. Let's go.
Guys, so we're getting the breakdown of Kandi and Todd's alleged divorce settlement. Let's go. So Todd will get $426,000 in a lump sum payment. He gets to keep 6 cars, including a Mercedes, G-Wagon, Porsche 911, Range Rover, Ford Bronco, Lincoln, and Ford Transit van. He gets no spousal support, no child support. Kandi gets to keep 5 cars, including an Escalade, a Ford F-250, a Porsche Cayenne, a 63 Camaro, and she gets to keep the Atlanta Hawks season tickets and things.
You could say a lot about Mama Joyce, but one thing you can't say is she raised a fool. Let's talk about Kandi Burruss, her recent divorce settlement, and how she is the queen of reinvention. And my OG followers already know, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. If you're not following the Black Death Society, please make sure to do so. This is a space in which pop culture and money meet. Kandi Burruss seems to come out on top of every situation. And today news broke that she has reached a settlement with her soon-to-be ex-husband, Todd Tucker. Now, I know y'all want to know the details of this agreement because y'all nosy and you know your girl gonna hook you up with that. And the first thing that was reached in the agreement was that neither party will pay the other party either child support or spousal support. In addition, Kandi and Todd will share joint custody of the 2 kids that they have together. However, Kandi gets a chance to keep both kids' passport, and Todd has to ask her for it.
Okay, so everybody wants to know, what did Todd Tucker get? Okay, it's been all in the headlines, People Magazine, TMZ, and let me give you the breakdown because Kandi Burruss has agreed to pay her ex-husband Todd Tucker $426,388 in their divorce settlement. Todd will also walk away with 5 cars, including a new Porsche, a G-Wagon, and a Range Rover. Now, this is the biggest thing that people were talking about. Let's look at custody. So, joint with divided decision authority, Kandi and Todd will share joint and legal and joint physical custody of their 2 minor children. Kandi will have the final decision-making authority over non-emergency medical care and education, and Todd will have final decision-making authority over extracurricular activities and religion. Religion. These babies are Christian. A judge has finalized the couple's divorce after approving a fully executed settlement. This also includes strict rules regarding the children and media. So because both parents are public figures, the parenting plan places strict limits on the children's media exposure. So neither parent may film, post, or involve the children in commercial or media projects without the other parent's written consent. Any income generated from the children's appearances must be placed into accounts designated solely for the children's benefit. Now, although both parties reportedly earn $22,083 per month, that's another story. The court approved a deviation from standard guidelines. Basically, they both submitted their the paperwork, and Todd says he makes about $22,000. Kandi says she makes about $22,000. No child support will be paid by either party. Now, alimony. Both Kandi and Todd permanently waived any right to spousal support. The vehicles awarded, we already went through that. Oh, to Kandi. A Bentley SUV, Cadillac Escalade, Porsche, Ford, and then we already went through what the vehicles Todd was awarded. Now, the financial settlement, an equalization payment totaling $517,500 was ordered after offsets $426,388.77 will be paid to Kandi. Okay. I like that. And payment terms, $250,000 up front with the remaining balance due within 90 days. When they say marriage is a business, my gosh. I mean, you tell me, what do you think? Again, they had Old Lady Gang. They also had a few other business ventures. So that debt, I know that has to be paid as well. But Kandi is going to always come out on top. But you tell me, what do you think? I don't think this was as severe as people were making it. Now, she did have to pay him because when he married Kandi, his lifestyle went up. Everything for him went up, right? If she was to just move in with him and drop everything at that time, 10 years ago, her lifestyle would have went down. So it does matter who you marry. I think she'll get married again. And it's probably going to be with somebody on her level. All right. Talk to you later.
We have some details on Kandi and Todd's divorce settlement, an exclusive TMZ got, of course. Okay, so per the deal, according to TMZ, neither party will be paid child support or spousal support. Kandi and Todd agreed to share joint legal and physical custody of their kids. Kandi is going to keep the passports for the kids, but Todd can request them ahead of any international travel. Now, Kandi will keep her 2022 Bentley SUV, her Cadillac Escalade, her Ford F-250, her Porsche Cayenne SUV, and a 1963 Chevrolet Camaro. Todd will get the 2020 Mercedes G-Wagon, a 2020 Porsche 911, 2023 Range Rover, a 1973 Ford Bronco, a 1963 Lincoln, and a Ford Transit van. This article goes on to say the exes agreed to sell a food truck they own, and the real estate divvied up between the two were redacted in the paperwork, but Todd did agree to vacate Kandi's guest house. Finally, I know this is cut off, but Kandi agreed to pay Todd a lump sum of $426,000. The two of them are going to split their credit card reward points. The deal says Todd paid Kandi $38,000 to satisfy the balance owed on their 2025-2026 Atlanta Hawks season tickets, and Kandi will keep those tickets. We also saw Todd sign that prenup on Real Housewives of Atlanta. It seems that really protected Kandi here.
Long, drawn-out, and highly contested divorce is finally official. Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker are officially divorced. Now, I actually wanted to report on this last week when the news first broke, but y'all already know how we do over here. We deal with receipts and not just headlines. So last night I went and I checked the docket myself, and let's just say what's actually in these documents, it might not be what y'all were expecting. Now, we all know that there was a prenup in place, but Todd tried to fight that, claiming that he signed it under duress, saying the paperwork was basically put in front of him at the last minute. But one thing we do know about Miss Kandi Burruss, she does not play when it comes to her coins, and based on what came out in the final order, it's definitely giving Kandi got exactly what she wanted in the end. I won. Give me my money. What we're about to do is break down these documents and so much more. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this story and so much more. Now let's get back into it. So before we get into what the court decided, we need to rewind a little bit because this divorce didn't just come out of nowhere. Now, this is a heavily contested divorce. We had issues with the prenup, custody of the kids, child support, and whether anybody was walking away with alimony. And if you remember Todd's biggest argument, he said that the prenup should not stand. He's basically saying that he was pressured into signing it, that it was put in front of him at the last minute, and that he didn't have time to really review it properly with his attorney. Now let's pause right there, because if that prenup had been thrown out, this entire divorce would have looked very different. We would have been talking about splitting businesses, splitting income, and possibly long-term support. But basically, based on this final agreement, that prenup, it might as well should have been written to stand alone. Now let's get into what the court actually finalized, because this is where things get interesting. First and foremost, let's talk about alimony, because in these high dollar divorce cases, this is what people usually want to know about. And I'm actually going to read this directly from the document so y'all can hear it for yourselves. It says, neither party shall pay any alimony to the other. Each party waives and forever relinquishes any claims and rights each has or may have to alimony, maintenance, and support of any nature from the other or his or her estate, whether in the form of periodic payments, lump sum payments, or awards of property from his or her separate estate, or otherwise. Each party accepts this agreement as settlement of all past, present, and future claims for alimony as provided by Georgia law.
You don't deserve nothing, you don't get nothing.
So again, nobody is paying anybody when it comes to alimony. There's no monthly checks, no lump sum, no thank you for the marriage payout, which again points right back to the prenup holding up. So let's get into the custody. I'm not going to read it. You can pause it and read it for yourself, but I'm going to give you some cliff notes. So they're keeping this part pretty balanced. They are sharing joint legal and joint physical custody of their children. But
and try to make it seem like she's not involved and you're doing it all so you can get this little scheme to what? Candy's gonna be like, you know what? I do miss you. Let's get back together. Todd don't got any damn sense. Anyway, the Jasmine brand can exclusive report Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker have reportedly submitted a settlement in their ongoing divorce case, according to a source present in the courtroom. But their effort to keep details private is facing pushback. According to the source, the couple finalized their agreement following a March 11th announcement that they had reached a full and final settlement. The case had remained open as the court awaited the completed documents. During the latest hearing, a source says the motion was presented to seal the case records, citing concerns that the couple had been stalked and arguing that sealing the file would help protect their children. However, the judge denied the case being sealed. Instead, the court indicated it may consider a more limited approach, potentially sealing sensitive details such as financial information and addresses rather than restricting access to the entire case. The development follows a prior court order requiring the parties to submit finalized documents by March 20th or risk dismissal without prejudice. It's unclear what additional rulings. Okay, the whole point of the matter is people are saying this was Todd trying to seal the case because one, he don't want anybody to know what's going on in his pockets, and two, he doesn't want anyone to know that he is basically walking away from this marriage with nothing. What makes me think it's nothing? Well, it's whatever was in the prenup, and we saw the way that Todd was fighting what was in fact in the prenup. I mean, at least that's what I saw in Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't know what y'all did. He was crying, hooting, hollering, all that carrying on. Anyway, Todd now thinks that he has a way about this. Let me show you what he posted. So Todd posted this on his main feed. It's to Candy's I Do, I Did, I'm Done. Monday, April 27th, 8 p.m. at City Winery. I guess Candy's performing, right? Now look at the bottom of this. Let me zoom in on this because this is like, it's getting weird, right? Todd posted, yeah, saying done, lol, just kidding. Go support your girl Kandi at the City Winery on April 27th. What in the world? This is just getting weird at this. This is just getting weird at this point. Anyway, people are saying that this is basically Todd going to miss his little thing as being Candy's plus one. You know, when you think about it, I think a lot of times, at least in Atlanta, I don't know, it's like the men act up and they think that somebody.
Todd Tucker walked out of a Fulton County courtroom with a settlement, and the woman who called him a gold digger for 12 years could not hide her smile when the cameras found her. This video covers every major headline from the last 72 hours on the Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker divorce, the biggest Real Housewives of Atlanta marriage breakup since Nene and Greg, covering the court settlement, the restaurant judgment, the paperwork deadline 3 days out, and what Kandi just said publicly about regretting the businesses she built with Todd. But more than that, this is the video that lays out in order why Todd Tucker's side of this story has never been told the way it deserves to be told. The story of a Tony-nominated Broadway producer who built a 15-year entertainment career before he ever met Kandi, and why Mama Joyce does not get a victory lap for outlasting a marriage she spent over a decade actively working against. Let me say the thing nobody wants to say. Mama Joyce has been wrong about Todd Tucker from the very beginning. Wrong, dishonest, and vindictive. The marriage ending does not make her right. It just means she outlasted it. And those two things are not the same no matter how hard she grins at the cameras. Stick with me because we have a lot of ground to cover and every piece of it matters. The place to start is right here, right now, March 17th, 2026, because the timeline is not what most people think it is. The divorce is settled, but it is not finalized. Kandi and Todd reached a full settlement agreement in Fulton County Superior Court on March 11th of this.
I really need to learn for when I'm a wealthy girl myself how the rich people do the things they do as far as finances. And I don't want to say hiding it, but hiding it from the court because the way Kandi just finessed TF out of Todd, even though Todd tried to finesse her first, it needs to be studied. Let's get into some things. So as far as the kids, they got joint physical custody of the kids. Now this is the part that kind of I was like, Ken, how you did that, girl? Somebody in the comments says, well, all her money goes through like a business and the business pays hers. That's how she was able to do this. But according to the court documents, her and Todd each make about $22,000 a month. Now, I find it hard to believe for Todd because what the hell do Todd do? No shade. But I find that hard to believe for Kandi as well because I know Kandi making bank a month, but she ain't got to pay no child support. Neither one of them are paying child support. So she got off scot-free with that. Both parties waived alimony permanently. So no child support and no alimony. Shout out to, okay. Apparently there were 10 cars between the two of them and they each got 5. 10 cars? Damn. Like, y'all can only drive 1 car a day? What y'all need 10 cars for? But I live. Go off. Trying to be like that. Kandi did have to pay Todd a lot of lump sum because it's like she has to pay $250K up front and then like the rest in 90 days. But she ended up having to pay him $426,000 for, I don't know what it is. If you go on X Twitter, they have the court documents there. I ain't no damn lawyer nor a paralegal, so I don't know what the hell I was reading. I just took clip notes from the original poster. But yeah, so it seems like she got all this done for less than $500,000. So I guess shout out to her because we know Kandi. I think Kandi is worth like $40+ million, which is believable because you know she's a puppet master on them jobs. So yeah. Oh yeah, neither party can post, film the kid when it comes to the kids, you know, social media, film, all that. They can't have none of that done unless they have written consent from the other party. And then if that happens and the children get paid, it has to go like in an account for the kids or something like that. So that's also a good thing. You know, I feel like honestly, in the grand scheme of things, with how much Kandi is worth, Kandi, the prenup did the prenup. Like, she got away good, in my opinion. And then Kandi gets final say on, like, medical and, like, education, and then Todd gives a final say on, like, extracurricular activities and religion, which Todd didn't strike me as no spiritual person. But okay, but no, what y'all think about all this? Like I said, if you want like the full breakdown, the full details on everything, the court documents are on X Twitter because you know Kandi wanted to close, but Todd didn't, and Todd won that little battle. But no, shout out to Kandi.
Former Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker have finalized their divorce, and now we've gotten our hands on the actual, real details of who got what in their divorce. It was just yesterday that we did a longer form video on the Tube of You. So if you missed it, we gave you the full details on what's been going on with Kandi and Todd's divorce, including a judge giving them partial opportunities to seal certain parts of their divorce, but not everything. TMZ got their hands on the final details of their divorce settlement, writing this: Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kandi Burruss will not be paying her ex-husband Todd Tucker a dime in child or spousal support, but she will be coughing up a hefty six-figure lump sum as a part of their divorce settlement. TMZ got their hands on the settlement signed by Kandi and Todd. The exes wed, as you know, back in 2014 and split late last year. Per the deal, neither party will pay child support or spousal support. Kandi and Todd agreed to share joint legal and physical custody of their kids. As you know, that was an issue a few weeks ago. Kandi will keep the children's passports, but Todd can request them from her ahead of any international travel. In regards to their actual assets, Kandi will keep her 2022 Bentley SUV, Cadillac Escalade, Ford F-250, Porsche Cayenne SUV, and a 1963 Chevrolet Camaro. Todd walks away with 2020 Mercedes G-Wagon, a 2020 Porsche 911, a 2023 Range Rover, a 1973 Ford Bronco, a 1963 Lincoln, and a Ford Transit van. That's a lot of cars between them. In addition, the exes agreed to sell a food truck that they owned together. The real estate divvied up between Kandi and Todd were redacted in the paperwork. As we mentioned before, some of these details were sealed by the court. And Todd agreed to vacate Kandi's guest home within 15 days of the parenting deal being signed. Remember, as you know, Kandi claimed that Todd was essentially squatting in her Atlanta guest house, while Todd said that he only was in there because she kicked him out of their marital pad. So Kandi will also pay Todd a lump sum of $426,000. The duo will split their credit card reward points. The deal says that Todd paid Kandi $38,000 to satisfy the balance owed on their 2025-2026 Atlanta Hawks season tickets. Kandi will keep those season tickets. Kandi and Todd had been going back and forth in court over custody and support for months before hashing out this deal. You may recall there were rumors out there that Kandi was going to have to pay Todd $2 million and pay for child and spousal support in the upwards of like $25,000 to $30,000 a month.
Kandi and Todd's divorce is officially over. Nobody gave up their rights to be a parent. Nobody's paying child support. Let's talk about what actually did happen in this divorce. Now, they're splitting their custody of the kids. It's going to be joint custody. Most of the things are going to be down the middle. She decides certain things. He decides certain things. Kandi is going to be over their health care, but any kind of uninsured medical issues, they're going to split it down the middle. When it comes to school, if one of the parents decides to put them in private school, that parent is going to pay. But when it comes to like uniform, school supplies, they'll split that down the middle. If one of the parents decides to put them in like a high costing extracurricular activity, that parent who signs them up is going to be the one to pay. Basically just a split down the middle when it comes to their children. Now, when it comes to the finances, Kandi is keeping around 5 cars. Todd is keeping about 6. And Kandi is going to pay Todd $426,000. She's going to have to make one payment of $250,000 within 5 days, and then she'll have 90 days to pay the rest. This is called an equalization payment, basically trying to keep everything split down the middle as much as possible. No person is asking for anything from the other, no alimony payment, no child support. And when it comes to stuff like their SBA loans, they're going to split that down the middle and get that paid off. They're both going to be responsible for their own car insurance and things like that. And really, this is just kind of an even divorce. They really just said, you know what? Let's do what's best for the kids and let's keep our feelings out of it. Now, there is some stuff that's in this divorce. They did get sealed. So some information we're not going to be able to see when it comes to the businesses, but basically split down the middle, and they're